guys got questions? I know I have a few, but I'm going to let the audience start. Who's got something to throw out here to our guests? Yes.
So at our drive-in, we're running single phase and we're using a three-phase converter. I don't know if any of you would come into using, come across this in digital. Are there any issues with using a phase converter?
No.
Okay. Great. Wait. No, you haven't worked with it, or?
No problems.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, it took two words.
And everyone concurs. I won't try to ask that, but I mean, you know, if certainly, obviously, if anyone has any difference of opinion or something to add to that, please volunteer that. Okay. All right. Who we got next? Okay, gentleman right there, and then Barry.
The limitations of Cat 5 or Cat 6, I don't know which Cat it is, to connect booths of a distance apart to a master server. We're talking 200 feet, 6 feet, maybe 300 at most.
Not more than 300.
If you have a place you can put a heavy-duty network switch in between to keep it less than 300 feet, you can do that.
It doesn't even have to be heavy duty. Literally, as long as you have a place you can put a network switch in, you're fine.
Would you recommend fiber optic instead?
No.
If you're over 300 feet. So Cat 5 has a longer, it's generally going to be more stable, a little bit longer than Cat 6. So where Cat 6 is going to be reliable to 280 feet, Cat 5 is good to 325, 330, thereabouts.
But you're saying over 300 feet fiber optics?
Yeah.
I disagree. It's better to put in a network switch. The cost of fiber optic is really high.
Oh,
That's true.
is there a difference in speed download?
No speed difference. Just stay with a good known switch. The ones we use exclusively are HP Pro Curves. Some switches, like Netgear, tend to lock up and you have to reboot them from time to time, which is bad.
Yeah, I had mentioned some of this to one of the guys at the table a while ago. In Tennessee, we have really hot, humid summers. I know in my building, we can walk in at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a nice, comfortable 65 to 70 degrees inside. By the time we get the kitchens turned on, the fryers turned on, the concession windows open, it goes from 60 degrees to 80 degrees up front and over 100 in the kitchen. And we have a 5-ton heat and air unit built. One of the things that happens at our place is literally there is a magic point where we actually hit a dew point inside the building where all of a sudden the floor is like we're skating on water. What's that going to do to my $60,000 digital projector?
It will kill it.
You are straight. And all honesty, I'll send you booths. The doors separate the booths from the rest of the building. You know, just build you small walls with just a 32-inch walk door, whatever. But you window air conditioning units in each booth. You know, in each end, and that should take the humidity out and also keep it cool enough. My experience, I've been through the worst summer anybody could ever have with a digital projector in Texas. We had 115 days, 105 nights for 71 days, and the people from Texas can verify that.
Martin, mind if I interject for a minute? Get up here.
Yeah, there's the chair.
Seriously.
We purposely gave the digital projectors a workout to see what they could do. There were cases I used window air conditioning units, and that's all I use in my booths. If you come down, you'll see. But in using the window air conditioning units on a couple nights, weeknights, of course, we turned them off to let the temperature go up, the thermometer in the booth, to see what would happen. We wanted to know what we would hit at what point. 97 degrees, Christie projector will turn the screen into the prettiest pink and green snowstorm you've ever seen. So you have to stay below 97 degrees. I think somebody else said 95 or something like that. 97 degrees is where it will quit. The TI board and the light engine are overheating at that point. And it takes about 10 minutes to cool it off. You have to get an extra fan put right on the side of the projector, blowing right in where the air filter is to pull cool air in. It takes about 10 minutes to cool it back down to where you can reboot it and start back over. that was purposely done to find out what it could stand. Any decent, in a normal size projection room, I'm talking something that's going to be 10 by 15 or something like that, which is what a lot of drive-in booths are. A 14,000 BTU air conditioned 110 unit from Walmart will take care of that booth. If you just put a curtain, a door, or something to separate that booth from the rest of the building. You do not want cooking grease coming from your deep fryers the way yours is set up. You want to separate the cooking grease. You don't want to be replacing light engines because of cooking grease. Very important.
I would recommend that you go to Ennis tonight and look. He does have these little window units everywhere, and they do an amazing job, and they're cheap.
You were down there on a very hot day.
Yes, it was pretty hot.
Yep.
And it really does the job. If there's a concern, as inexpensive as these things are, put 2 in.
And we did that on one booth. One of my booths, I had a problem with it getting hotter than the rest. And Brad walked in the door and immediately said, there's the problem. The projector's at a 30-degree angle. He said, it's not supposed to run at that angle. I'm surprised it even works. And I did have to put a window unit blowing straight into the projector on that one. But it's because the cooling for that particular projector is not designed to work with it sitting at this angle. So I'm having to supplement the cooling in the projector with a window unit from Walmart, which was $212. So
we did an install a while back with mini booths, which is unfortunately all the craze nowadays. Some people are actually trying to throw, and these are hard tops, throw the projector just inside the back of the auditorium, which I'm very much against because it's a death trap to the guy servicing it, and it's just this noisemaker up top for everyone trying to watch the movie. But regardless, the other craze is mini booths, where they say, well, here's the projector, it's this big. We're going to make the booth 2 feet bigger. Well, it's like this. If you have a booth that is 6 by 6, and you put a heater in there, and you set that thing to 300 degrees, and you open the door, or not a heater, an oven, how long is it going to take for that booth to become sweltering hot and hit that magic 95, 97 degree mark? A few minutes? What happens if you put it right in the middle of this big room and turn that oven on? It's going to take a while. That projector's going to keep running. It was mentioned that there may not be space to in your booth, that you may want to buy a track system. Don't. It's a waste of money. Build the booth just a couple of feet bigger. It's going to help on your air conditioning because you've got a little bit more area, and also it's brain just stopped.
If I can throw something here.
Thank you.
If you're building a new facility or you're doing a major remodel, consult a good mechanical engineer. All the heat loads of every piece of equipment that you're going to put up there is publicly available. It's easy to find. Give it to him so he knows what to expect. It is possible to do a boothless design. It is possible to do a more compact design, but it does take a lot of extra work.
And the problem is if the air conditioning fails in a small room, you're going to go down.
You're going to cook it a lot faster.
Also, in regards to the mini micro booths, I did some installs digital side by side with 35 millimeter in New York, and the booths were so small that the designer said, okay, we'll put the projector here next to the 35 millimeter. It was so close, couldn't get the lamp house out of the digital projector to change the bulb. And you also could not open the door to the 35 millimeter console to service it. And it turns out, unless I'm mistaken, there are also OSHA regulations that specify you must have a certain amount of clearance around equipment. I don't know the specifics, but that's also another issue.
That'd be where the rail system come in handy, so you could roll one over this way to get rail.
Absolutely. I would have loved to have that there, but there wasn't any room for the rails, much less me.
Well, in those scenarios, what we had to do in the mini booths is we just raised the feet and used the casters that were built into our system to move it out of the way so we could get at the back of it.
Yeah. Well, you know, of course they want to suggest stuff like, just slide it out of the way. You know.
There's that J word.
But then, what's that?
Don't say just. That's trivializing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what slide it out of the way. Well, then I got to worry about, if I got to do that to the 35 millimeter, I got to worry about lining it back up on the screen and stuff. I don't have that kind of time.
Well, with digital, you can pop up the test pattern in a couple of seconds, line it up. It's not going to get off vertically. Line it up with the left and right side, and you're back where you were.
Yeah. But like you said, there's the OSHA consideration too.
Yes.
So that's something to keep in mind.
Oh, and while you're on the environmental subject, as far as you covered the heat, as far as the cold weather, 38 degrees, that's cutoff point that the digital projector will start. You'll get a warning, integrated rod below 38 degrees will not, start or whatever. You have to warm it up. In my booths, I use space heaters. I use ones that look like a little baseboard heater or something. Just one small one in each booth takes care of it. As far as just storing the projector, mine I know have been stored at 0 degrees. They were in Kansas for a little while, and I think in an unheated warehouse. I believe it's unheated.
We did that for you.
You purposely unheated it or heated it? Oh, they were stored, and I know it was below 0 for a few days up there. I carried them back to Texas, started them up, had no problems at all. The coolant, which I do, you want to make sure you have the new coolant. If you buy a used projector, first thing to do is change the coolant. That's very important. But I had the new coolant put in at one of these other locations here, and they were in 0 degree temperatures, and they were actually hauled. It was 17 or 18 degrees on the trip from Kansas back to Texas, and they were in the back of the pickup truck riding in the wind. So, wind chill was probably a whole lot less. Did no damage to the projector. So as far as just storage, you're going to be fine at a low temperature. But as far as running, you're going to have to keep your booth at least 38. They will not start if it's below 38. And if it's questionable, you need to be about 41, 42 degrees. If it's colder than what you can bear as a human, the projector ain't going to like it either. Same thing with the heat. If it's more than what you can comfortably work, it's too much. Ideal would be 75 degrees all the time, or 68 to 75. You're not going to get that. This is the real world. So,
by the way, if anyone has any issues with humidity, there's a company called Quest that makes little portable dehumidifiers that we've tested, and they work quite well.
I have also had to use them in film booths because the platter's getting wet and film sticking together before film guard. So they do work.
Now, is my warranty okay if I let my projector go to 30 degrees? Stored, not running?
Don't tell anybody.
Okay, they store them in warehouses in the same conditions, and the warehouses are not heated. So just think about that. They do not heat the warehouses where they're stored while they're waiting to go be shipped places. And the big trucks that they're hauling down the highway and leaving trucks, they're hauled all year. They're hauled in high temperatures, they're hauled in low temperatures. So just think about it. Use common sense.
I understand that, but come spring, when I fire up my projector, it doesn't work.
You're right. And if I paid that much money for a projector, I'd take precautions to make sure.
Now, as I said, if you're in an extreme climate in the wintertime, it's not that hard. Two men can pick one up, sit in the back pickup truck, carry it to your house, sit in a closet, sit in a bedroom. They're not that big, and they're getting smaller. The newer ones are smaller.
Okay, so now if I do that, how much setup do I have to do when I replace the unit back?
Very easy. As Brad said, all you're going to have to do, you'll have about 4 cables?
You'll have a few cables to
reconnect. About 4 cables.
And depending on the type of projector, maybe a different procedure, but it's 15 minutes tops.
You throw a test pattern, your screen files will still be there. All you're going to have to do is hit a test pattern and just back and forth.
If you leave the base there, it's not going to move.
Leave the base, you're not going to have a technician.
You have to pull the server as well, right?
No.
Okay.
Not unless you have a extremely humid environment in the wintertime, which is very rare, but if you have an extremely humid environment, if the walls and floor sweat, do not leave the server. I have seen that, electronic boards and cards. If you're leaving your sound system and you're not having a problem, it's the same equipment. So if you're not having a problem with your sound through the winter, you're okay also with your server.
The dehumidifier is a lot cheaper than
Well, I wanted to ask about the internet service. Say somebody doesn't have the internet service and has to come off a satellite disk, which I need phone lines to fiber optics or whatever. Does that work well? With service, or what can you do about that? Also, which one do you guys think, or I mean, would be a best projector for a drive? I know we heard a lot from Bill's and everything else like that, but well, downtime.
Okay, so the first question is satellite internet.
Right.
Not a great idea. The latency, it's very, very slow to respond. sorry?
Same thing with the Xanadu.
What
It's
is
a wireless internet.
Yeah, any kind of wireless internet is going to be slow.
What about wireless?
Now, if you're not on the VPF program and not on a monitoring system, you do not have to have internet. Just to clarify, because a lot of people think you need internet to get the movies or something. You will need it at some point because you will have to transfer keys. You're going to have it at your house or somewhere, but you can download your keys onto a thumb drive and move them to the theater if you don't have internet available at the theater. You will have to download keys in some fashion to get them into your servers.
You don't need the internet to make the projector work.
No, to make it work, you do not need it. To transfer your keys alone, you will have to have it. Or for a NOC or operational system like Brad has or something like that, you will need internet. But as far as just everyday operation, you do not need it.
I'm sorry, what was the second part of your question?
Well, we were talking about projectors for the drive, trying to figure out, what a tech over here would think would be the best projector to have for a drive. I know we got some running right now.
Well, I don't think we're supposed to say exactly.
I'll tell you.
Well, DLP, how about that?
Yeah, DLP. No sound.
Forward driving. That's good.
Each one has its good and bad points, and there are different ones, all have different things that different people like and dislike. So each one has their different things, and sometimes you need to get with a tech that has worked on all equipment that can suggest what is best for your situation. Kind of like a site survey, if you explain how your temperatures are, your dust, if you have a paved parking lot, a dirt parking lot, what are the environmental conditions, that can have a great bearing on what you should put in. Because different manufacturers go about things.
Let me just ask, how many people here have drive-ins that are squeaky clean? Raise your hands.
No outside air getting in without being filtered.
It's a clean room environment, eat off the floor. Everybody here's got that?
There's no such thing, I don't think.
Okay,
but the indoors are dirty.
I put an outside, basically outside air filter, just a furnace filter on it.
Okay.
I'm doing it in anticipation of getting digital and also cooling.
Okay, so, and you have sealed port window, everything?
Yes.
Okay, so you're the exception. For everybody else that has a normal drive-in booth.
A squeaky clean drive-in.
Pardon?
No, we discussed not drive-ins as clean as an indoor theater, so.
Okay. Unless you're going to go to that extreme.
And don't be fooled, indoor theaters are dirty also inside. They do have dust problems. So
there's many that do. Yeah. We can rule out Sony right off the bat because there's no light out of those things. So that leaves us with NEC and Christie and Barco. Now for an indoor theater or a theater where you've got a nice clean booth environment, I would say you could choose any of the three. For a drive-in where you have a dusty environment, there's really only one logical choice, and that is Barco, because they have a sealed light engine. If you get a little bit of dirt in there on those DMDs, your light engine is shot, and you're going to be out a good 20 grand.
And I'd like to disagree with that very quickly. NEC has a very strong, it's also DLP, so it is virtually sealed. None of the DLP engines are completely sealed. None of them are. So, but Barco, Christie, and NEC do have very strong filter systems to keep it clean.
And the newer projectors are much better in the filter department than the older ones.
Sure,
Now, I will say that because I have had some problems with dust due to the older projectors. The newer ones, I would not have the same problems.
Change your filters, though.
Yes.
Change your filters.
You're going to be changing your filters twice as frequently as an indoor.
Yeah, that goes back to what you brought up more about the environment. Change your filters, have a nice booth that you work in. It's a good temperature range. And don't ignore the extraction system for the lamp. If you're going through the hassle of buying all this good equipment, make sure you're cooling for your fans is adequate too.
Just for my next article, are we all in agreement about Sony?
There's another issue about Sony that I think is important, and it kind of touches on all the other three too. 4K is generally not going to be a good option for any outdoor theater or any really, really large screen theater because it's less light efficient. You're going to get same lamp, same everything else. If you've got a 4K light engine there, you're going to get less light on the screen because it's a less efficient projection platform. You're also going to have more limitations in how you can shift the image within that lens. So it's, when you're shopping for a system, pretty much just stick with 2K platforms. It'll be a lot easier for you. Does anybody disagree with me there?
I agree in the fact that there's no need for an IMB. Seriously, don't worry about it. Don't waste your money on it. For a drive-in, 2K is what you're going to want. You're not going to need to do high frame rates. That's going to suck up more light. Everybody needs light at a drive-in.
Well, I have a question on that. You say no need for upgrade, no need for upgrade. Did anybody tell these people this when they were in carbon arc before they went to xenon? Or xenon before they went to digital?
That's actually a really good question.
I'm just saying that I wouldn't say that there's absolutely no need. I'm saying that I've already received 2 digital prints that had the option for 4K. At what point in time do you get before the only option is 4K?
With the technology available,
2K from 4K?
With the technology available right now, 4K is not going to benefit drive-in theater owners, an IMB will not benefit drive-in theater owners, and high frame rate will not benefit drive-in owners.
Okay, his concern that I have talked to you about, and you probably need to share it with everybody, his main concern is, are they going to cut off 2K content?
No.
No.
That's the main concern.
No.
You know, will there be a period of time, 10 years down the road, okay, all of a sudden my $60,000
to say that they're not
52% of every screen in this, has been converted at this point. It's almost all 2K with just a couple of rare 4Ks here and there.
But again, I can go back and say the same thing, that at some point in time, 52% of all screens across the country had switched and converted to xenon.
And have you ever played a 4K file on your 2K system? No. It works just fine.
Oh, will it?
Well, no. But what about the other way? Can you play? I mean, you just said that 4K.
Okay, he's saying you can.
To your point, the DLP technology projectors. Now I'm going to say NEC because I'm with NEC, but my competitors with the DLP technology, the ASIC chip that DLP chip runs on is completely upgradable for future technology. For example, higher frame rates that may come out may be wonderful, and you may use them, you may not use them. You do have the availability and the ability to upgrade that product. Same thing with 4K. Our machine that we recommend to you for the 3200 with 30,000 lumens is upgradable to 4K should you decide, should the technology change. My DLP competitors also have a machine that's upgradable as well. Sony is a whole different story. So to your point, I'm not recommending Sony. I'd recommend, if you don't buy from us, at least buy a DLP. It is upgradable to the future because we don't know what the future holds. But it is technology that is upgradable. Without getting into detail, there is technology that we are all working on with a different light source that in 2 or 3 years will be available. And that will also be a retrofit into our machines.
I have kind of a question that I want the lady from Sonic to answer and Mr. Big Sky to answer. We're all approaching the end of our season right now. We're all going to fly home, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the drive-in and look at our booth and say, what do we got to do to get ready? When you come out and do a site assessment, what do you look for?
What we look for is the screen size and then the throw. We're going to use those to calculate. We look at your sound components. Basically, I'm going to be rehashing what you probably heard on some of these today earlier. And then we put those and we calculate what the best fit for the projector and lamp and lens are for you. And then I would suggest climate control, keeping it. I think that's going to be important for drivers.
Yeah. In my situation, temperature is not as big a concern for me as the humidity is in the summer.
Yeah, and that's, I think you got to keep, I agree with sailors.
When you guys upgraded to digital, what all did you have? Is your driving relatively new?
Well, now, just to make it clear, it's not my driving, it's owned by Sam Kirkland.
Okay.
But I do run it. And yes, we built a brand new in 2005.
2005, so mine's only in 2003. So what kind of modifications, if any, did you guys have to go through?
Well, for one, as somebody did touch on earlier, I took all my 60 amp 3-phase, I put in 40 amp. That's all that this Christie CP2230 required. But I'm a little bit picky. Originally, they had little half-inch conduit running there and here, and after talking with some of the techs at Christie, I already had a 4-inch gutter box right in front of my projectors. I took everything out, everything down, and I ran everything, including my fiber, through my an 1.25 inch conduit, nice and neatly, right around the bottom, came up, and that was for the most part it. I would say the only thing that kind of struck us by odd was having a D-to-A converter. You will, if you're doing FM transmission, or I guess if you still have speaker post, you're going to have a D-to-A converter, which is not that big of a deal, and if you have somebody install it for you, they do wire all that up. Watching them wire it up, it would not be rocket science to do yourself. So,
also,
and that was about it.
Okay. Also, you had mentioned the future light source coming up. Is that the laser stuff that we've heard about that IMAX just bought from Kodak?
Could be. We're all working on our own.
Everybody's working on their own.
We're working on our own.
But you know, if we go in and buy these price ranges everywhere from $48,000 to $60-something thousand projectors, are all of them upgradable? Or
every single one of them will be upgraded.
I wouldn't expect that Kodak IMAX system to really produce a whole lot, because the way it's engineered, it's not actually made to be a retrofittable solution. It's made more looking forward. So if they make anything out of it, it'll be a complete projector. But there are, like I said, every projector manufacturer.
Everybody is working on it.
Yeah, they're working on their own laser source. And
the ones I've talked to are talking about making everything backward compatible to upgrade the.
There's going to be a path for everybody. Well, I want to mention one more thing about the humidity we talked about. These projectors from all three of the DLP companies, they're being put in some of the most, way out in the jungles in Southeast Asia, out in, South America. I mean, these things are being tested big time out in the real world, and they're working just fine. So,
and I'd say the same thing about the dust.
Yeah,
I mean everybody up here seems to be sweating the dust.
Yeah.
Yes, we keep a clean booth, and yes, as soon as we put them in, I had the windows. We had double pane windows that were originally installed. I had those taken out and put in single pane windows. I talked to everybody I could talk to, say, you don't need, there's no special window, put in a single pane window. If I open that window halfway, it does not seem that I lose any light, at least not by the naked eye. You go put a meter on it, maybe so. But if you open that window, you see the frame there, you look at the right, you look at the left on a white screen, I can't tell with the naked eye. So I've closed off the windows, kept them closed, I shine through the window. And yes, we're in windy West Texas, and yes, we get dust. I pulled out those filters now I've never changed them, it's a service we do pay Sonic for, but I have taken them out and looked at them, and you can go in there and there's be dust on the floor. But those filters still don't have any dust in them. So I would think that whether it be Christie, NEC, Barco, they are making these projectors knowing that everybody has humidity, like you said, the jungle, north, dusty. They've hopefully thought these things through.
One more thing is, you just mentioned something important about the windows themselves. I know some of the people don't even use windows. If you're going to seal the room, put a window in, but just don't go out and buy any kind of glass. I actually saw in an indoor theater, I saw safety glass, which I put everything in green tint.
Of course, you can fix that when you shoot colors.
This was bad. Yeah. Anyways, just look at the glass you purchase
and don't put solarized glass in. I had a theater that did that, and they wondered why the 3D wasn't working.
Oh, yeah.
Well, as far as the install, guys, what do y'all recommend? I mean, as far as if somebody's going to seal it off?
We actually do sell, actually, I think all of us sell the different glass that you need. Just give us the size.
But optical glass.
Optical grade glass, water white. So the light you're putting out there is getting to the other side just fine.
There's glass companies all over the country. I mean, we just sent Martin down to one place locally. It's nothing special. If you have your own way to mount the glass, you can go to a glass company and get it fairly cheap.
If I can speak to durability, I installed one of Jeff's projectors in Kenya about 18 months ago, and then 6 months later removed it from the location it was in Kenya. Put it on a truck. It went 4,000 miles back across Africa to Lagos. We reinstalled it. It was a little tweaked. It was dirty, but it's been running fine since day one, and it has seen some real abuse. So be careful with these things, but they really are well engineered. You don't need to wear baby gloves every time you touch it. They're all really, really good machines these days.
Oh, and also anybody that considers buying used, make sure it's from a reputable dealer, and also have a tech inspected or have that dealer's tech inspected, because there was a situation, was it Louisiana, where there were a couple of used projectors available, but the boards were corroded, and I think you knew about those. I know somebody who else was involved now, but there were a couple of used projectors that I was offered at a really good price, and upon inspection, there was like a white crusty powder on all the boards, and it would have costed more to repair the projectors because they had been in flood damage. They weren't in a flood at the time, but they had been flooded, and later everything corroded. So you do watch to make sure if you're buying used that you buy quality equipment that's in service, not something that came out of a flood or something.
Or get a warranty.
Yeah, and get a warranty.
The other piece to use,
Sorry, Jim, go ahead.
the other piece, if you're buying Series 1, it was brought up earlier, the gore board, but I don't think it was explained properly what the gore board was.
Right.
And it's a security device allowing you to play the movie, first run movies. And correct me if I'm wrong, the original gore board was open, and an engineer discovered that if you knew what you were doing, you could copy the print right off of it. So they had to re-engineer the gore boards to close them. And that's what is being replaced right now. And if you replace them yourselves and you grab them wrong and put them in wrong, you fry them very easily. So again,
or drop them.
Or drop them. The gore board, if you're doing first run movies, right now the studios are not enforcing it, but it's sometime they may. So it's not a necessary thing to buy right away if you're getting a used equipment. All of the Series 2 and some of the older Series 1s already have it. So that's another thing you may want to ask if you're buying used equipment. Is the gore board a current gore board, or does it need to be replaced? Because it is $3,000 to $6,000 depending on
the manufacturer.
Right.
Yeah.
So was I correct? Anybody disagree with that?
I had a question on frame rate. Is any of the old equipment on there capable of changing frame rate? I mean,
All Series 2.
3 or whatever that comes up, and all of a sudden it's going to say you can't play it. That's the frame rate is this.
Just like 2K content, you'll always be able to play it at normal 24 frames per second. The high frame rate is like 48.
Yeah, but this is Hollywood. You're going to say you have to play it at this, right? You're not playing.
I think
is there anything that's going to stop you, or anything we should be looking at that?
I think if if that becomes a problem, you'll see a solution for it in the server manufacturers, where they down-res or slow down the stream at the player. So the projector's never going to know that it's seeing anything different.
Oh, okay. So are you saying that the newer models of the Series 2 and all that stuff is upgradable for the faster?
Yes. Every Series 2 that's been made is...
But there may be some older Series 1 models that would not be upgradable to the faster.
Right. But look at how many Series 1s are out there in service right now. The movie studios aren't just going to say, oh, well, we're going to be snooty about it, and we're not going to let them have this movie, and we're going to lose millions of dollars. There will be a path.
You had 3D versions of Transformers 3 that shipped out to land on the different versions of screens that were out there.
There were 8 for Avatar.
Yeah, there were 8 different DCPs across all the different formats for Avatar. So they, on big releases like that, they don't exclude anybody. On more regular stuff, they just kind of take it to the lowest common denominator, so it'll play everywhere, and they don't spend $1 million.
And I see a lot of hard drives with multiple contents. Same movie, multiple different contents on the hard drive, so you will have a content you can play.
So you're saying basically you have all the different stock capacities of prints on your hard drive.
Yeah, you see that
a lot of times. You'll have a
lot of times
3D.
It gets a little bit aggravating when you're having to go through 6 different versions sometimes, and you have to click on properties to look to see which one you actually
There'll be closed caption, open caption.
Yes. And the key to all of this is buy DCI compliant equipment. If you have DCI compliant equipment, they're not going to shut you out.
Today, right now, this minute, drive-ins are not BPF-able by anyone. There are, I know Christie's working on it, GDC's working on it, Cinedyne's working on it, there's all sorts of things going on. They're trying to get the studios to use a little reasoning here, Technically, as of today, the answer is no. And also, there's various things, VPF contracts, such as a minimum of 85% of the movies must be played on the break. They have to get through that barrier, because how many of you drive-ins only play one brand new on the break movie, or do you take an older movie and put behind it as a double feature? Well, right there, even if every first movie you played was on the break, half of your movies are not on the break. So by definition of most VPF contracts, you lose out.
There is a schedule on the break.
Correct.
Week 3 through week 5, so there are.
It's very little money.
It does go down quickly, but there's a fee structure that you can look at, and you can add up your numbers to see what you get over the course of the term of the contract.
It varies from every system, every VPF agreement, but typically by about the 5th week, would you say? It's pretty much over if you're not playing it by about the 5th week?
Yeah, just 0. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can't just play something that did good 8 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago. You pretty much have to stay. You'd open a movie and then you just have to make that movie your second double feature movie. But it's not just sound. ECI is hollering about 14-foot lanterns of light. Martin's already proven that's a bad idea. So to answer your question more directly, VPFs are not available right now. Everybody, us, everyone up here, all of you have your fingers crossed, but as of today, not yet. And if you look at it from the studio's point of view, I prefer to take a more pessimistic point of view, not to get any downers here, but it doesn't really benefit the studios to hand out free money. They have no incentive to do it, only pressure. So all you guys get together and
scream.
Yes.
Basically, you're screwed either way for the figure. You have one screen or 4 screens for the VPF.
Because you VPF a one screen, no problem.
And actually, it's to your advantage when they do allow the VPS for drive-ins. The financing side of the VPF matching cash flow works on a 12.5 turn. Well, you're turning every week or every other week. So you're going to be running 15, 16, 17 turns. In which case, you will actually be paying for your equipment within the time allotted in the VPF without a problem. So they are all, as you mentioned, they are all working on it. I'm an optimist. I do believe that you're a large enough segment out there that they will allow it, and they will change the rules. But again, it could go either way.
Yeah, VPF sound wonderful, but they also sound like they can come back and bite you. And the way my booster explained it to me, he said, I know what you can gross in the summer. He said, but I also know what you can gross in the spring and the fall. And we all know if you're not either, my theater's open tonight, and it's first weekend in November, and it's going to be 30-something degrees outside, and we're going to be lucky if we have 15 or 20 cars on one side and 30 cars on the other side. And we're opening Harold and Kumar tonight. If I had a VPF and say I don't know what VPFs pay, let's just take a ballpark number, say $800 for a VPF for the first week. If whatever my terms are on it, if the studio automatically already has to pay $800 to my integrator as a VPF, if I can't return that, what incentive are they going to have let me book the movie?
There is a exactly. And to answer your question a little more directly, they're typically around $700 to $750. It all depends on everything, but there is no exact number because some studios pay a little more than another, and no one will ever know that.
But they're paying money to make the print. What's the difference? They paid it $750 or they paid to make the print first?
Studios are greedy, if you haven't noticed. They're interested in the majors. If you have a 24-plex that's selling out like crazy, and then you have 24 single screens that don't kind of do all that much, they don't really care about the 24 single screens. They're interested in the cash cows. And right now, you got 52% of all these theaters that have converted. Well, think about it, just from their point of view. That's not 52% of their money. That's way more, because the people who've converted first are the high grossers. So when people say, oh, well, they're only at 52%, studios will never cut me off, they'll never stop making 35mm prints, it's absolutely wrong if you do the math. It's a much higher percentage of money that they're making right now off digital screens than film. And every month that goes by, that number is getting much more higher. And they're also not going to make an announcement until VPFs are over. That's just common sense. They're not going to say, this is the deadline for film to end until they no longer have to pay them.
Simple math. It takes the studios, it costs them roughly around $1,200, $1,400 back when they were making 35mm prints for everybody. $1,200, $1,400 to make a physical print, package it in cans, ship it out, and then get it back. It costs $40 for a hard drive. So the studios are making a lot of money, or saving a lot of money, billions of dollars, by helping theaters convert. That's their incentive. But as you just mentioned, once they're over that 50, 60%, and they're at the point where they're making money, then regardless of how many people buy, then they will stop the VPFs. And conversely, what will happen is, if you have a VPF at the time, you'll be okay, you'll keep going. If you don't, they will still make 35mm prints, but it will cost you a lot more money. Because instead of making 1,000 at a time, they're only making 20. So it will cost them more to make it, it'll cost them more to get it to you. So the idea is, unfortunately or fortunately, 35mm prints at some point will go away because they won't be cost efficient.
And you're going to be hard to get the prints.
Right.
It's going to be hard to get the prints they're going to make.
Right. So you will have to convert at some point.
I think most of us up here have been in rooms where they have said that the end of film in the U.S. is very real, and it's soon, 2013, 2014, when film distribution in the U.S. stops. Overseas, it's a little bit slower, but it's going away. It is going away.
Also, with all the majors converting to digital, they're not going to strike a print for someone who plays the movie a few weeks off the break. They're just not going to. They consider that free money. They're not going to make a print to get that amount of money. So as more and more of these majors convert, there just simply will not be the prints, period, in existence.
And I can tell you firsthand, you don't want that print coming back from Nigeria. It's nearly unwatchable.
Can somebody talk through what kind of maintenance is required for one of these projectors? Both maintenance that we can do ourselves and something that we have to have a technician in once a year, once every few years, whatever.
Keep the filters changed. That's,
follow your firmware software updates.
Clean your port glass. Clean your port glass.
You're gonna change your own bulbs, I'm assuming, et cetera, et cetera. If you have a knock, they're gonna deal with your firmware upgrades and all that sort of stuff. So the answer is, you're gonna basically be able to do most of this yourself.
We've had digital now for 7 months. As far as maintenance, everybody's already said it. You're gonna change your bulb, you're gonna change your filters. I don't go into a booth. My booths are 500 feet away. I don't go into a booth. Every day, I have one of my employees go to every booth and wash the port glass inside and out. It's windy, West Texas, it's gonna get dirty. Other than that, until we do Monday Night Football on screen too, I don't step into a booth unless there's a problem. There's been very, very, very few of those, and if there was one, I would call Sonic technical support. They were on it. If I needed to call Christie, I called Christie. If I needed to call Do-Re-Mi, I called Do-Re-Mi. But it was such a change from going into a booth 3 or 4 or 5 times a night, and I will go weeks without even going into a booth.
This is where it's handy to have an internet connection, even though Martin does say technically you do not have to have it. Because this was already touched on earlier, and we can attest to that. If you have an internet connection, specifically a knock, but even if you just have an internet connection and you're not connected to a knock, at least your tech can get in. There's a lot of things that can be fixed remotely without paying to roll a truck.
Or you yourself. My dad is the other manager, and he is not computer literate at all, but he's learning. But from my iPhone, iPad, laptop, home, I can be at home, log into our LMS, library management system, or any of our Christie projectors, any of that, and make changes. I can sit at home and make my schedule. So, I would recommend an internet connection. It'd be very useful, especially like they were talking about the key. That's the only thing you really had to have. There's been trouble with keys in the past. Sometimes you don't get those keys. And if there is a trouble with the key and the time you're supposed to start the movie, if you have an internet connection there, You've got that key and ingested within 60 seconds. You call up Technicolor, you call up Deluxe, you have it, you ingest it, you're done. If the only place you can get that key is back home,
that could be a problem. If you did have a key problem and downloaded it and you lived an hour away from the theater and didn't have internet close by, that would be a problem.
And just for clarity, if anyone does decide to go with our system and our NOC, we deal with all the keys. We deal with everything they're talking about up here. You do not have to deal with it.
If you have an internet connection.
You do have to have an internet connection. But likewise, we have literally taken servers, lobotomized them from the ground up remotely. We did set up our system to be able to do that. So even if you have a server just kind of go crazy and it's more than a reboot can fix, it's kind of the magic. Somebody up here said that earlier. That is something that we can do that I don't know if the other NOCs can actually do that sort of thing.
Has anybody done like a cost analysis on what it costs to run one of these projectors to show, everything, service agreements? What the plant costs, what everything costs to operate?
Everything except the service costs. I can get them. And I can get with anybody you selected, anybody who's close to you, and get their service amounts and work that for you as well. But yes, we're very, very particular on the energy management and saving the cost to the exhibitor. In the lamp, in the electricity, we run that entire analysis for you. And for that, since we're not talking about the hardware for the sound upgrades and everything, it would just be the screen size of the throw, the 3D, and then I would need to know what else you're powering there, and your electricity bill.
And for indoors, the gain of the screen.
Talking internet, Kansas City got high-speed Google coming through, and I think it's going to come through by the driving. Is that going to benefit me a lot?
As I understand the price structure of that, oh yeah, do it.
I mean, yeah, can I show a lot of, can I stream it off the internet?
No, there's no such thing as streaming.
That's also way illegal.
Did you say stream it off of? Okay.
Go on the internet, get a movie, show it on the, put it on the screen.
Well, but in fairness, are you talking about, can you download the DCP from the studios that's been licensed and stream it live? Is that what you're asking? Or are you saying, can I get on BitTorrent and find my movie?
Yeah.
He's talking about downloading YouTube.
Say again?
Capable of taking it off the internet and throwing it on the screen?
Well, on our system, we have a satellite download. We get 90% of all our features from, so you don't even have to mess with a hard drive. But that does not come over the internet. It's a satellite.
There are alternative content providers that actually work outside of the DCI compliance spec, but they deliver content to a separate server. Emerging Pictures, I think, is one. You can pick up La Scala,
yes.
Pick up sporting events, things of that nature. It's done as a broadband delivery. You sit at night, you get all the time in the world to bring material in its small packets. It's not the films. It's totally different. But it's a reason why digital offers other types of revenue flows for you. And so the faster the better for alternative content.
Well, and you may want to do a pre-show before your normal intro to the drive-in because it's money. It gives people something to look at. Yeah, sure, the sun's still setting. Maybe your color space will be a little off because you've got an orange sun. But trust me, people like Screen Vision and NCN, they don't care. They would like to throw some ads up on that screen before you start, and you don't even have to get a separate projector with our system, at least. Just plug it straight in, and it will go through because we have a scaler built into all our systems for that purpose, and most of our customers do that. You can also get money back from them on your bulb use because they pay you for you to supply and maintain the projector instead of them.
Conversely, you could sell your own ads and do it all yourself.
Can I hook a camera up to it? And go
Yes, you
out
can.
live in the field with the camera?
You want to talk to Ray Anders right here on the front row?
The only thing I suggest to be very careful of, with the alternative content, it opens up a whole new avenue stream for you of revenue. Work with one of the emerging pictures. There are licensing requirements and legalities involved. You can't just play the World Series or the Super Bowl without having to pay somebody.
When that's if you're going to charge.
Right.
For us to do Monday Night Football, I called Dish Network. I had no clue on what to do or how to go about it, but I called them, And basically they told me anything with my Dish Network commercial account, whatever it played, I could play, but I could not charge. I did ask him, well, I'm about a Martha calling, charging a $5 cover charge. He says, they get away with it. But we don't charge a cover charge. The World Series played on it. Now, we didn't end up doing the World Series, but we do do Monday Night Football every Monday night. And we get a lot of Facebook and emails about if we're going to do the Super Bowl. I don't think it really matters. It won't be dark enough to do the Super Bowl. If we do decide to do it, we'll pause it. But Dish Network did tell me the Super Bowl will not play on my Dish Network commercial account. I would have to call them back and make arrangements and probably pay some sort of fee.
How was your turnout?
It has steadily grown, but of course the Cowboys-Redskins games, I had 650 people that night. Of course, it was the Cowboys-Redskins game.
One of the things some of the theaters are doing, the circuits, is they do not charge admission, but they sell a $5 coupon for your concession stand. So you're forcing them to buy food at the concession stand, and that's how you make your money.
The expensive stuff, right, or the real costly alternate content things are like operas and Broadway shows, and one that's been really successful is like the NFC fights, where the tickets are $20, $30 a piece, and you do charge admission, and there is a licensing structure.
What about online gaming?
It can be done.
We've just do one.
We did.
Yeah.
We Facebooked that to see if we could do it. Of course, I've hooked up a PlayStation up to one of the things, and some game, somebody had DC Comics Mortal Kombat thing on a 90-foot wide screen. It looked unbelievable, and we put it on Facebook. Hey, would anybody be interested in this? And having tournaments during the slow time. There are a number of 1,000 things, especially for some of the theaters, the drive-ins that are closed, or during the week or closed for the wintertime. There are 1,000. I mean, we're in West Texas, so we probably won't do it, even though I might be interested in seeing an opera or a ballet. Most won't. But if George Strait is doing a live concert somewhere and you can get a feed off, there's a lot of different avenues that you can do with these projectors. If somebody wants to have a seminar out there, and you have FM transmissions, there's 1,000 different things you can do to increase your revenue other than just showing the movies.
But notice everything he said, and this is very important, everything he said, I made a phone call, I checked, I asked. Very important. While you're driving maybe in the middle of not a populated area, you never know who's going to be in there watching it. And if it's taking revenue away from somebody, you will be cease and desist sort of very quickly.
And there are people that watch websites just looking for things.
Yeah. Right.
They just do nothing but surf websites looking for things that may not be picture.
Right. So there are lots of opportunities. Just be careful.
You hear about that all the time, where some bar out in the middle of nowhere will get sued by a record company for playing the wrong song off an iPod. It's real. It happens. Just
a Colts-Dolphins football game probably won't cause any problem.